All right, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakwak. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to. All right, in today's lesson, we're going to go into how the Lord is raising up the Russians to, come up against America, but mainly to get that, nuclear war started, because Russia is going to be the first ones, to fire off those, those big ICBM missiles with the nuclear warheads in it. All right, and then everybody else is going to follow. Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of his temple. All right, so let's break this down. Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 11. Make bright the arrows. So right there, the Lord is, this is why you see around the world, but starting with Russia, they're just constantly testing their new missiles. They're constantly getting them ready. That's all you see right now with Iran, North Korea, even America, all right, China. This is all that you see that they're doing. They're just constantly working on their, their nuclear arsenal and those ICBMs. Make bright the arrows. So they're talking about the ICBMs, not like your normal, typical arrows. Gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. So it's talking about the, not the ancient, where the ancient empire where you had the Medes and the Persians. No, this is talking about the Russians. Okay, because where the Medes once ruled back in the ancient world, that was it was over there by the where the Russians are at today. So the Lord is stirring up the Russians to come against America for his device. So the Lord is doing it. It's not just Putin, and up to the elites, the global elite. It's the Lord is doing it. The Lord's doing everything. All right. So that's a big problem out here, because a lot of people don't reverence the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right, the Lord and the angels control everything out here, but people don't give credit to the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. But they're about to, because the Lord is going to, the Lord's coming back to put respect on his name, because the world don't know him, but you're about to be introduced, all right, to your Creator, to our Creator. So this is what the message of the prophets are. Get ready to meet your Maker, and it's literal. Okay, he's literally gonna come down here. For his device is against Babylon. Right, so those missiles, ICBMs, supersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, all right, for his device, so those missiles is against Babylon, because they're against America. Right now, you'll see those small talks, with Trump and Putin. Remember, these Edomites are very crafty, so it don't matter if they say, oh yeah, the relations are getting good and they're okay now. No, they're not. All right, just remember that. For those of you out there, remember, Russia is America's number one enemy. All right, so remember, his device is against Babylon, so they're coming up in here. They're already here. Okay, the Russians are in here deep, along with China and Iran. All right, so they're already inside America with millions sleeper cells. And remember, the U.S., they're the champs. Okay, so it don't matter how you slice it. Okay, if you like it or not, America is still number one. All right, these nations may have like a little bit better, maybe missile capability, but America is still number one military-wise overall. If Iran, China, and Russia and North Korea, jump the U.S., yeah, then but no nation right now can just face America head on. One on one, America will win. All right, America is still the strongest military in the world. Okay, America is Babylon the Great. All right, America has the good stuff. Don't even start. All right, don't even start. All right, America has the good shit. All right, America is Babylon the Great. But if these other nations strategize and jump America and have sleeper cells already inside the walls, now it's a different story. You see? For his device is against Babylon. So it's against it. To what? To destroy it. See? Because it is the vengeance of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. See? So they're coming to destroy America. They're not just like, oh, they were just a little upset. Trump said something to Putin that said, you know what? F it. Let's just fire a little pocket nuke over here, and we'll just give America a little taste. No, they're coming in here to destroy. Remember that. Real fast, because remember, America is the champs, right? Because they're the number one right now in the world. It's just like the Super Bowl, okay, in football. You're not gonna the team, when they play in the Super Bowl, when they have to play like the number one team on the other side, all right, they're not gonna put in their third string players. Okay, that's pretty plain and simple and to the point. Okay, they're not gonna put in their third string players to fight the champs, to play against the champs. They're gonna put in their first string. Unless somebody gets hurt, then yeah, you have your second string and stuff like that. But they're gonna put their best players in there to fight the champions. Why would a football team, show up to the Super Bowl with just the second and third string players and have the first string players not even show up? Does that make even any sense to you guys? All right, so remember, all these little proxy wars with Russia and Ukraine and all that. That's all little wars. But China, Russia, Iran, they have all their best soldiers reserved for America. Like their top soldiers, they're special forces or whatever they call themselves, But you can look at it like that. So they have their best soldiers for America. Why is that? Because America's number one. So they're not going to come in here with just flunkies, They're not going to come in here with just third string players. All right, they may have some as extras in the back, just for bodies, but best believe they're going to have their grade A shit here in America. Excuse my Italian. You got to remember that. They're not just coming in here like, oh, it's a few Russians and Chinese, we can handle them. Remember, they're coming in with their best. All right, so these are going to be top soldiers, super soldiers out here, Everything, probably on, and Russians, they're probably on steroids and everything, So imagine if your gun jams, if you have to fight, these soldiers they're very, they can fight, The Chinese soldiers, they're very disciplined. Okay, they're very disciplined. The Russians are strong Edomites. They're a whole different type of Edomite because they're Edomite, but they're different than the Americans. They're very tough. All right, and they're tough Americans too. But there's the Russians are a different type of Edomite. All right, because they're Edomites too, but they're like more. They're more tougher. They're used to being out there in the snow and all that. All right, to fight them. Like let's say both of your guys you're in a building trying to take out a Russian or vice versa, and your guys' guns jam, and you guys go to fist-to-fist, hand-to-hand combat. That's gonna be a hell of a fight. All right, it's gonna be a hell of a fight because Russians are very tough. That's a fight to the death. Russians are very tough. They're out there with like bears and stuff in the snow, so they have a different a toughness about them. So remember, it's not gonna be just it'll be all right. Remember, All right, the Lord is bringing them. You know, so it's something to consider. You know, because people, they don't really think about that. You know, a lot of people out here on La La Land just like, oh, it's all right, and you know, it's not. You know, people are literally about to be put to death out here by sleeper cells, UN troops, other militaries. You know, and people are just walking around like, oh, like ain't nothing gonna happen. You know, like damn. But that's just to show how cold the Lord is, because remember, all these years, these blasphemers, unbelievers have been talking trash about the Lord. So the Lord's like, you know what? I'm gonna set up these nigglets, you know, real good. So that's why the masses, they're out here and docile, you know, they're out here just totally delusional to that they're surrounded, you know. Facts. See, but that's what they get for talking trash, you know. Oh, this is why the Lord told us in Zephaniah. Remember Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 14 through 18. All right, he said, you know, I'll make men walk like blind men because they have sinned against the Lord. All right, because that's why a lot of people they don't know what's going on out here. You know, they may hear, you know, a little bit about, you know, the elites trying to, you know, bring in their smart cities, you know, newer order, all right, stuff like that, but they don't really, you know, grasp. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah, you know, people kind of say, like, yeah, I heard of it, but they don't really think it's gonna come to play. You know, they're just kind of like, yeah, like I heard of it, like it's a conspiracy, right? But they don't really take it seriously. All right, so the Lord has this place set up cold, very cold, because the majority of people out here, man, you know, totally delusional to what's about to happen out here. All right, because a major war is coming to America's soil, major, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord. See, the vengeance of His temple. There you have it. See, the vengeance of His temple. Let's see. So now we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 13, verse 1 on down. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Lift up ye a banner upon the high mountain. Exalt the voice. Shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the noble. So this is what our Lord tells the prophets. Yahweh Shem Shai has ordered the prophets to, you know, get on our enemies' nerves. Okay? Have them, you know. So that's what it means. Exalt the voice. Shake the hand. So piss our enemies off. Get on their nerves, you know. That they may go into the gates of the nobles. So Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that's what He wants. Okay, He wants our enemies to go tell their bosses, go tell their elites, like, hey, you know, these guys are a problem, you know. That's what our Lord wants. Like, yeah, like get on their nerves, you know, like get on their nerves. That way they can go tell their boss and go tell their leaders. See, so the Lord saying that, like, yeah, you know, go tell them. You know, this is what the Lord tells His prophets. See that? Yeah, because remember, the Lord is coming to wage war on these leaders around the world. Remember that, because it's not just these militaries going at it with each other. See, because the Lord is going to have them fighting each other, and then the Lord is going to destroy them too at the same time. All right, so you got to remember that our Lord is a man of war. This is something you got to understand. I have commanded my sanctified ones. See, because the Lord have commanded His prophets. This is why the prophets are out there telling Esau and these heathens that they're going down, they're going to slavery. The 2/3 of our people, that, you know, that death and destruction is right there. You know, it's right there. It's prepared for them. You know, I have also called my mighty ones for my anger, even them that rejoice in my highness, because the Lord is about to activate the 144,000. You know, it doesn't matter how mad our enemies get, how much they team up. Remember that this is divine intervention. All right, so the 144,000 are going to be unstoppable out here. You know, tanks and jets. You kidding me or what? Those are just toys to the 144,000 and the angels. You know, and a lot of you Edomites that are getting, you know, mad about that, like, oh yeah, right, they're just toys, run it. You know, run it. You know, and come get bitch slapped. You know, 'cause a lot of you say, oh yeah, right, you know. They can't, you know, the 144 can't just play with jets and tanks like that. Fucking run it. You know? Because you guys do a lot of talking trash. You know? Bring that jet, fire up that jet and come get bitch slapped, you know, in front of the whole world, and bring Tucker Carlson to film it, you know, because we're in the proving grounds. Because you Edomites think that you're stronger than the Lord, you know, prove it, you know, run it, you know. And we're saying that with a smile, because you know we don't fear these heathens and Edomites. We don't care what type of technology they got, because the Lord has all of them beat. See that? That's why the men of the Lord are so confident, because the true prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai don't really like have weapons like that. You know, they're not like, you know, out there teaching like with guns and stuff like that. You know, tanks and bulletproof vests. No, you know. So that's why we're in the belly of the beast. We're in the midst of all of our enemies with nothing. You know, imagine that. But just we're out in the streets with just books. Imagine nothing. You know, not even a first aid kit, no bulletproof vest, none of that. You know, right in the midst of our enemies, telling them that they're going down. Imagine that, and that them and their bosses ain't shit. You know, with the smile. You know, the prophets are, you know, they're out there glorifying the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You know, they're not out there like looking over their shoulder all nervous and like, oh damn, you know, like, nah, the prophets are out there in straight peace. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Lord of hosts, mustereth the host of the battle. Okay, the Lord of hosts, that means the Lord of armies, mustereth the host of the battle, because the Lord is controlling all this. Look at what's going on with NATO, Canada, America, you know, they're all getting stirred up against each other. The Lord is getting all this ready. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So they come from a far country. So what's that they there? Is that talking about our is that talking about the the North Koreans? Is that talking about the Europeans? Is that talking about the Chinese? Who's that talking about? That's talking about the missiles. Okay, Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country. So right there, that they is talking about the missiles, the ICBMs, because they're gonna come from a whole nother continent. All right, and it's not just America, but you know they're gonna hit other places around the world as well. You know, but right here specifically talking about America. Remember, this is what the Lord has planned. So it don't matter what anyone says. Like, oh no, it's, you know, Trump and Putin are talking now. It's gonna be all right. Good luck with that. All right, because this is the Lord. All right, they may show you that for a little while just to kind of like pacify the people, but believe you me, you know, Russia and China are ready for this place, and so is Iran. You know, North Korea. I mean, they're ready. And this is what you gotta understand. They have man. It's gonna be worse than what people think. You know, and then not only that, America's divided too. You know, I mean, yeah, you got America has a very strong military, right? But America is divided because a lot of people are waking up that like, yeah, this shit is corrupt. You know, because are there good people in the American military? You know, are there Israelites in there? Yeah, you know, there possibly could be some of the elect in there. You know, but the thing is that you know, the rulers who really run this are corrupt. You know, this is why the Lord is coming with lasers, with the angels to destroy this place. You know, they come from a far country. The end of heaven just means the other side of the world. Even the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and the weapons of His indignation. So they're His weapons. All right, just like the Lord tells us in Joel chapter 2. Okay, they are the Lord's weapons to destroy the whole land. All right, to destroy the whole land. Hail ye for the day of the Lord, to destroy the whole land. See that? Because the whole land is gonna be devoured. Okay, the whole land is going to be uh done done out here. You know, it's gonna be wasted like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's gonna look like the Sahara Desert out here in America. You know, and that's the facts. So those who are playing around, well, you're just gonna get melted out here. All right, and there's a lot of things coming down the pike before those missiles are actually shut off. A lot, shutdowns, the collapse of the American dollar bill, the mandate of that chip, which is the MARK for the New World Order. All right, it's a lot. There's a lot that's gonna happen because remember the Lord is gonna allow. Because, like, let's say if Russia were to fire off their missiles tomorrow, how would prophecy fulfill? Civil war, race wars, the famine. You know, remember people committing cannibalism that hasn't really happened yet. Okay. The left hand side rolling. Remember, the left hand side, they still have their window to bring chaos. The Lord. Remember, the Lord created them for that. It's not like the Lord's like, okay, you guys have your. The Lord created them for this purpose, to show the world what is wickedness, because they are the wicked. They're not like just trying to be like, okay, well, we're going to try to be bad and go against the Lord. They were created to be that way. They are the wicked. This is why they're like that. Okay. In their mind, they think that, yeah, we do that. No. The Lord made you to be that way. You're the wicked. All right. See? All right. So that's why, like the prophets will expose the wicked, just by saying, like they're going to bring in the chip and all that, shut down society. But they're not over here like, oh yeah, this person lives over here, this agent, a corrupt agent, because there's good agents, but there's bad agents as well that are corrupt. This is why the prophet like, oh yeah, the bad agents, they live over here on this street. Oh, they're doing sacrifices under this building. Nah, they're not over here like, the prophets are not, spies and detectives, they're gonna give you the information, your general information, what you need, but we don't care about, like where they meet up and all that, and I don't give a damn. I mean, because we know that they're the left hand side. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. You see? So we're just here to give you, what the Lord wants and needs you to know. That's it. Don't worry about all like the little details. You see? They come. Verse 6, Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, because the Lord's coming. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty, because Yahweh is controlling all this. All right? Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. Because once people hear that this is not a drill, seek shelter immediately, people are going to be freaking out, man. Because once they hear that, these missiles are on their way, that's it. Verse Isaiah 13:8, and they shall be afraid as pain and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. See, because people are going to be like, oh shit, oh snap, excuse my Italian. People are going to be like, dang, because what can you do? As you hear this place is about to get nuked, and you're not even ready. Where are you going to go? To your garage? Where are you going to go? A lot of people don't even have basements. There's some people who have basements, but even those basements, they're, remember, people who have even like the top military underground bunkers, the top because they have underground cities and stuff, they're not going to make it, They're not going to make this. America's about to get rocked so bad when those final, because, America still might get hit by a pocket nuke here and there, but, when the missiles, the final missiles, when the Lord unleashes like all of them, yeah, there's going to be no survivors here in America, but there still could be like a little pocket nuke here and there that is going to be, they can still throw like a pocket nuke here and there, create a tsunami, or throw a little pocket nuke, on the East Coast or something like that. All right, but when the final missiles, when the multitude of them, just like John the Revelator saw in Revelation chapter 9, all right, when, the final, missiles are, unleashed, there's going to be no survivors. Isaiah 13:8. They shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them, because people are gonna know, like, yo, this is it. See? And those of you that haven't repented and that were just fooling around, you're gonna know that, the only thought that you're gonna think to yourselves is, damn, like, we fucked up, like, I messed up, because you're gonna know on that day what your latter end's gonna be. You're gonna get that taste of reality, like, snap. That's why Ezekiel chapter 33 verse 33 is, then shall they know a prophet has been among them. Because then you're gonna know, like, damn, man, those, the men of the Lord that were teaching on the corners, on the highways and byways, they were right. You're gonna, like, damn, see, because the prophets are there just to give you your warning. But if you don't want it, that's up to you. But the prophets have a job to do, regardless if you like them, if you believe them. It's a message from the Lord directly. So we can give a damn what people think, they like us or not. What is this, What is this, grade school? We're not here to be popular and, be liked by the masses. I mean, if you see what the information and useful and, and you like what you're hearing, then that's cool too, It's not like just, forget everybody. But, I mean, if you're cool with it, then yeah, it's cool, But if you're not, that's fine too. Because it doesn't matter if you like the prophets or not. The Lord is still coming with those ICBMs and with the angels. See? So the Lord is still coming regardless. And they shall be in as pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, cometh cruel with wrath and fierce anger to lay the land desolate. See? Wrath and fierce anger. So what happens to, God loves everybody, See? And don't worry about slavery, that was in the past. Yeah, right, The Lord's coming to slay these Edomites, heathens, and 2/3 of our people in a major way, and it don't matter, if you're going against the Lord, it don't matter, if you're on the Lord's bad side, who are you gonna run to, You can't, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners out of it, see? For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. It doesn't mean that the Lord right here is going to shut off the lights of the moon, the stars, and the sun. It just means that people are not going to be able to see them. Like in a regular night, you can look up and see the stars, the sun, and the moon. You're not going to be able to, because that's how much smoke is going to be in the atmosphere, and in our skies, because there are going to be so many buildings. Remember, because there are going to be a lot of civil wars out here, urban warfare, civil war, American versus American. The UN troops are here. So there's going to be a lot of buildings on fire, missiles going off, tanks, jets, you name it. People on fire. Hills on fire. So there's going to be so much smoke. It's going to be very dark from all the smoke. Remember, like 9/11? Remember when those buildings went down? All that smoke. Okay, well, that was just a couple buildings, right? All right, imagine all these cities like that. Buildings getting taken down. Because imagine when Russia and China invade America, all those, when America's not just going to take it, of course they're going to fight back. So you imagine, like, in these cities, you're going to have jets falling from the sky, tanks out here, because look at the weaponry of Russia, China, Iran, and America, imagine that, because it ain't just like, regular, little tanks and little airplanes. No, they have top technology. So imagine when they're going at it right here in these cities, and it's coming to a city near you in America. Remember that. So they're going to totally destroy these cities. Look what happened to Ukraine. Look at that. Look what happened in Gaza. Over there in Gaza. Look at how those cities are just ruins, right? All right. Imagine when America is going at it with Russia and China right here in American soil. These cities are going to be wastelands. They're going to be desolate. Because imagine, when they really start to get in it, it's not just going to be a few jets kind of going at it. Remember, it's going to be a full-on war out here. you know, and look at the weaponry on both sides, you know, so it's going to be total, you know, you're going to see planes crashing from the sky, helicopters out here, you know, just look at Russia and America's weaponry. Imagine them going at it along with China and all them. And then, of course, you know, U.S. has allies too that are going to come in and help out. But you imagine? So these cities are going to be in ruins. Because imagine, they don't have just like regular missiles. No, you're talking, these are top superpowers going at it right here in the soils of America. So these cities are going to be completely ran down. So imagine all the smoke, all the fires, you know? Yeah, just imagine. It's going to be crazy out here. That's what a lot of people don't really consider, you know? It ain't going to be like the movies. Like, remember that movie Civil War? And they're like, oh yeah, we can just go to another city, to another, you know, like no problem. Remember that? Like, no, it ain't, no. This place is about to be on total lockdown, you know? It's going to be on total survival to the finish. You know, only the strong survive. You know, last man standing. Verse 11, and I will punish the world for their evil. See? So the Lord is coming to judge. That's what doom means. You know, doomsday people say, oh, like doomsday preppers. Doom means judgment. Okay, because the Lord is coming to punish the world for their evil. See that? So the Lord has been watching everything that people has been doing, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Right. It's because the Lord had enough. He said, that's it. You know, I'm coming to lay him down. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So what does that mean? Because the 144,000 are about to be activated. Remember, like that movie Shazam? Okay, how he was just transferred. He had, like, all he had to do was say Shazam. He had all those big muscles and stuff. The 144,000 are going to be like that. They're going to be transformed right before your eyes. Imagine that spiritual power. You know, you seen like the X-Men, you know, with laser eyes and all that, you know, stuff like that. You know, Black Adam, Superman, all right, Hancock, you know, Invincible, you know, Omni-Man. The 144,000 are literally going to be like that. Brightburn out here, you know, flying out here, laser eyes. They'll be able to pick up, just throw a tank, you know. They could throw a tank like 2 miles away, no problem. You know, they have, you know, 144 are gods on the earth. Remember that. You know, they're not ordinary men. They're very strong, you know. The 144, those are Abba's boys, you know. You know, you want to talk about a force to be reckoned with? Shit, you know, the 144,000 are nothing to play with. You know, they're very, very strong. They're the first spirits. Okay, they were created even before the host of angels. Okay, remember, because Yahweh created Yahweh Shai first, then Yahweh Shai created the 144,000. Then after that, they created everything else, everything, the demons, the other angels, everything. So the 144,000 go way back. What Yahweh Shai, way back. Imagine, they were here before the earth was even created. You know, so it's beyond people's comprehension. You know. Yeah. Verse 13, therefore I will shake the heavens. So the Lord, how's he going to shake the heavens? By all these wars, ICBMs going off, the angels out here, you know, going to town on the wicked, the 144,000, you know. And the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, in the day of his fierce anger. See? So once again, it's not just to, you know, put people down out there, you know, when they say God's all love. It's just to prove a point, you know, to let you know that that's false information. The Lord's coming back to lay people down. All right, the wicked. See that? His fierce anger, because he's coming. You hear all that we just talked about, you know? See that, you know, sleeper cells, ICBMs, the angels, 144,000, you know? The Lord's coming back to lay this place down. And everyone that shall be, let's see here, verse 14, and it shall be as a chase roll. So a chase roll is talking about, you know how Esau, the so-called white man, you know, he says that, you know, after an ICBM, you know how like they do test runs of like atomic bombs, stuff like that, hydrogen bombs. it creates what you call a mushroom cloud. That's that, you know. And it shall be as a chase roll. So after the missiles hit, people call it a mushroom cloud, right? So you're gonna see a lot of those, going off. Mushroom clouds. You're gonna see a lot of those from those ICBMs once they hit their mark. And as a sheep that no man taketh up, they shall every man turn to his own people, and everyone into his own land. Because a lot of the heathens, the natural Gentiles are gonna go back to their land because they can see like, yeah, America's finished. Verse 15: everyone that is found shall be thrust through. Because whoever stays here in America, if you're not part of the elect, you're gonna die, right there. And everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Right, because right there, because everyone that is joined unto them, because whoever wants to join forces with Esau, you're gonna die right along with Esau. That's what the Lord is saying right there. So everyone who's still in America, you're done. If you're not part of the elect, the Lord and the angels are gonna take you out. Okay, He'll have the UN troops take you out. He'll have the left hand side take you out. Remember that. And because the Lord has death and destruction prepared for America, Babylon, and everyone that is joined unto them. So that goes to you wicked Israelites that are joining forces with Esau. See? So this is what the Lord's saying. And everyone that is joined, so everyone who's joining teams, helping out Esau, check it out. Unto them shall fall by the sword, because the Lord's going to take you out too. So the Lord don't care. You know that, 2/3 of our people, because some of them are joining forces with Esau. They got Esau's back. The Lord's, I don't care. I'm going to put you down and your family. The Lord and the angels ain't playing. Facts. Enjoy your last meals. Enjoy that last laugh, because once the Lord and the angels get rolling, you don't give a damn. Like, oh, he's joining forces with E. The Lord's like, it's no problem. You're all about to be laid down out here. See that? And you can't hide. Facts. So that's what the Lord is saying. And those who are joined, whoever's joining forces with Esau, they're gonna be laid down right with him. Makes no difference to the Lord. The Lord's like, I'm gonna lay them down. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces. See? Because the Lord's coming for their children too, before their eyes. See, so the Lord might even take out people's children right before their eyes. The Lord has a lot of stuff. Remember what the Lord did to Pharaoh? He took all their firstborns. Man, the Lord's going to do a lot of stuff out here. Remember, the Lord's going to break our enemies down. Salakia, because they think they're tough guys and stuff. Just watch. Just watch what the Lord does. Okay, the Lord is, he's the king of terrors. All right? So, right here, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Remember that. So the Lord, you think the Lord cares? All right, nah. Okay, you're talking about the Lord. The Lord's like, I'm going to take you out and your family out. The Lord's not playing. All right, and the angels ain't playing either. They can't wait to tear this place a new one. Their houses shall be spoiled. Right, because this is why, just the other day, Trump had, he has signed more executive orders. Okay, but that's from the left-hand side. Because remember, the Lord's going to allow these Edomites to roll, to shut these cities down, put people in concentration camps, to starve you out. Whatever the left-hand side has planned, the Lord's going to allow them to tear shit up. Remember that. He created them to do that. The Lord created the wicked for the day of evil. Remember that. So it is their hour. They have that little small they don't have that much time left, but that window is reserved. They're going to be able to tear it up out here. Remember that. See? Their houses shall be spoiled. How? By civil wars, these UN troops, sleeper cells being activated. See that? Because just because the prophets are mentioning it, no one's going to stop it. In fact, and, America is going to fight back, but are they going to stop it? No. So, that's the thing. That's the difference. Because America is going to do something about it, yes. But are they going to stop it or prevent it? Absolutely not. Okay, they're not going to stop it. Their houses shall be spoiled. And two, because the Lord's coming with a lot of, newly created creatures. It's not just the soldiers that are going to be going at it out here, And their wives ravished, all right? Because a lot of women are going to be getting raped out here. Facts, Yeah, it's going to be very terrible out here. Here's the point. Isaiah 13:17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. So the Lord's saying, behold, so the Lord is stirring up the Russians against them, as America, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Because you can't bribe the Lord, okay? You can't bribe the Russians. They're coming in here. Remember that, because you may see that, oh yeah, Trump and Putin, they're, starting to get along. Remember, that's all for show. Russia's going to come up in here. Their bowls, verse 18, their bowls also shall dash the young man to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Because those missiles ain't going to spare children. Oh, nah, they're taking everybody out. Even animals. And their eyes shall not spare children. See? So remember, it's about to go down out here. And Babylon, verse 19, and Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, that's America, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency, because this is, remember, where the elites, they push all their agendas from America, celebrities, Hollywood, NFL, all that, okay? All right? Shall be when the Most High Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to be the same thing. It shall never be, verse 20, it shall never be inhabited. So this is how we know. Because you know how you hear that, America is going to be nuked for all 5,000 square miles, all 10 FEMA regions from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast, and no one's going to ever, live here again. This is the scriptures right here, verse 20. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, because America is going to be left as a memorial. All right, this is what happens when you go against the Lord. Right, but Israel is going to be completely nuked too. But Israel is going to be rebuilt, because that is our capital. That's going to be our center right there, Jerusalem. That's going to be where that's like our headquarters right there. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there. Yeah, because right here in America, you got the heathens, the Chinese here, bringing their businesses. They got their swap meets, their 7-Elevens and all that. All right, they got their businesses. They're making money. Their furniture stores, whatever. See, so the heathens are not going to be able to come here. How like the heathens, they sell like cell phones and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Electronics, whatever. They're not going to be able to do that no more. They have like smoke shops, whatever. They're not going to be able to do that no more. Neither shall their shepherds make their fold there. All right, so that's pretty much it. That was the point right there. On the Lord's bringing great destruction around the world, but specifically to America. Okay, America is going to be the worst spot to live in once these judgments go. So it's going to be bad, ultimately all around the world. But America is going to be the worst spot to be in once the Lord starts to unleash out here. America is going to be the worst place to be. So if you're here, you want to, that's why the Lord's saying repent. Because if you're here in the soils of America, either you're here for the fight, or you're here just because you're a complete degenerate and you have no clue that what's gonna happen. See that? And that's not like that's not. This is what the Lord has planned here for America. So remember that those people who are getting deported out of America, it's not necessarily the worst thing ever. Because yeah, it's it may be bad in Mexico and all that, but what's about to happen to America? Because yes, these third world countries, they're real bad, they're real poor. But why is that? It's because of these leaders. These Edomites. They took all their resources and set up their their bullcrap governments and all that. Set up their puppet leaders. So why the politicians and all that? Why are they all rich and stuff, and all the people all poor? Colombia, all that. Why are they all poor down there? Brazil, why are they all poor down there? Are you kidding me? That place is all green. It's rich with resources. But why are the people poor and suffering? Because the so-called white man has infiltrated all of these places and set up their government and all that. This is why the people are suffering. Because Esau has his bullshit laws and all that. That he's oppressing the people. See? So the only people who do good are the people who play ball with them. The sellouts. See that? But remember, these politicians who sold out to the so-called white man, the people, the citizens, are going to go to their houses and drag them out. Remember that one time, it was a couple years back when it was getting real bad, people went to Pelosi's house. Remember that? So that's what they're gonna do. You know, because these politicians, they're just lying to the people. You know, and they're getting all, you know, and they're all rich and like living all comfortable when all the people are suffering. You know, and they sold out too. It's not like they're trying to do it. It's one thing like if they're trying to help the people. No, they sold the people out. They're lying to them and getting paid by Esau. So they sold out their own people. So the Lord's gonna have these citizens, you know, of, you know, like, you know, down there, these third world countries, go into their government buildings and drag them out and take them out. So these politicians are gonna start getting attacked real soon, because the world's gonna know, like, hey, these fucking guys are corrupt. You know, just watch. You know, this is what's gonna happen, because remember, the Lord has a great spirit out here of awakening. So people are awakening, like, yeah, man, this shit. People are corrupt. You know, they're really selling out. People are getting paid to lie to you. So people are getting paid to kill you, because they're getting paid to push you off a cliff. You know, and now they're living, you know, nice with a Jaguar in the driveway, a nice home, just because they're getting a little money from Esau. So now they're killing innocent people and not giving them the facts. So you don't think the Lord's gonna deal with them? Oh, hell yeah, they're in big trouble. You know, big trouble. But that's what they decided to go down that route. You know, unless they repent, they still got a little bit chance, but a lot of them are not gonna repent. You know. So with that, that's it on today's lesson on, you know, the Lord is stirring up the Russians to come against America. So with that, stay prayed up, on your feet, soldier. Shalom.